Theo believed the troubles were coming to an end, but another disaster loomed ahead. He cautioned Vicky not to act foolishly out of greed. Vicky, feeling challenged, attacked Theo, who defended himself with his shield. Yona, concerned for Theo, joined the fray by attacking Vicky. Despite the onslaught, Vicky protected herself with a shield, expressing disdain for their resistance. She threatened to give them a painful demise, indicating a fierce confrontation ahead. Yona checked on Theo's well-being, expressing concern for his safety. Theo reassured her that he was fine, grateful for her intervention in stopping the attack. Vicky observed Theo using his shield to block the attacks but noticed his fatigue. Determined to handle Theo slowly and eliminate Yona first. Yona was wounded, blood seeping onto the floor. Vicky remarked on Yona's resilience against the divine fire cudgel. She taunted Theo for his inability to withstand the fire, noting that he relied on his shield. Theo lamented being unable to use the lesser devil poison due to Vicky's energy barrier. He also doubted Yona's ability to transform as she had done previously. Theo considered his remaining options. He blamed Vicky's greed for leading him to make tough decisions. As Vicky attacked Yona, intending to prolong the battle, Theo suddenly appeared near her, surprising Vicky. In her astonishment, Vicky realized she had underestimated Theo and was taken aback by his unexpected move despite assuming he was on the brink of defeat. Vicky, in a panic, questioned Theo's actions and demanded an explanation. Theo touched a stone chest, releasing a spirit trapped inside. The freed spirit expressed frustration at being sealed for a long period and lamented being confined by insignificant beings. To the spirit's surprise, it recognized Vicky and angrily labeled her as an ungrateful individual. The spirit, now possessing Vicky, expressed outrage at being rejected and sealed up, vowing never to forgive her. It drained Vicky's energy, leading to her demise. The spirit then turned to Theo, questioning his decision to trust the stone box and release it once more. Although grateful, the spirit considered it foolish to risk being sealed again. It marveled at how Theo and the others remained unfazed by its ominous laughter, puzzled by their lack of reaction to its menacing presence. Theo cautioned the spirit, emphasizing that harming them over the stone chest might lead to losing more important things due to greed. He reiterated the warning about the dangers of becoming fixated on trivial gains. The spirit acknowledged Theo's confidence, dismissing his significance. However, it expressed dislike for the stone chest and offered to allow them to go if they relinquished it peacefully. Theo realized that finding a compromise seemed impossible. Determined to confront the spirit, Theo acknowledged that relying on the stone chest was their only option to defeat it. The spirit, amused by their efforts, laughed at the idea that holding onto the stone chest would change anything. It vowed to show them that life was not that simple. In the spirit's mind, it plotted to increase its power by absorbing energy from the treasures, even if it meant wasting them, all to rid itself of the troublesome stone chest. Theo realized the spirit had become much quicker than before, making it challenging to seal it back into the stone chest at the right moment. Despite the difficulty, he understood that giving up meant facing certain death and resolved not to surrender. In a decisive move, Theo opened the stone chest. The spirit, throwing a stone at Theo's hand, expressed skepticism about being deceived again. With a sense of triumph, the spirit declared its intention to take over Theo's body. Theo and Yona screamed as the spirit attempted to possess Theo's body, but the spirit was thwarted by Charles's bracelet. Surprised by the bracelet's power, the spirit questioned why Theo wore it and inquired about his connection to individuals from centuries ago. In Theo's thoughts, he realized that 2 out of the remaining 8 crystals had lost their light. He deduced that Charles must have used the 4 crystals that lost their light from the start to shield himself from the elementary spirit. Theo understood that the bracelet possessed a special ability to block the elementary spirit, making it no ordinary accessory. Yona suggested taking advantage of the opportunity to head for the door, using her skills to create an explosion. Frustrated that the door remained closed, she expressed her dismay. Theo acknowledged that they needed to fully subdue the elementary spirit as anticipated. Theo contemplated exhausting the elementary spirit's power using the remaining 6 crystals. He pondered on activating the bracelet's crystals effectively to seal the spirit. Recalling the previous activation of the bracelet, he noted how the spirit's energy had dissipated rapidly. Theo decided to utilize all his remaining precious petal elixirs to generate the necessary spiritual energy for the activation. Despite his efforts, only 2 crystals were activated. Yona assisted Theo in storing spiritual energy into the bracelet, showcasing her confidence in her abilities. In Theo's thoughts, he witnessed all the crystals starting to light up, indicating that they would soon be fully charged. The spirit realized it had no means of escape and felt its power diminishing. Theo, with the stone chest in hand, recognized that this was his final opportunity, made possible by the bracelet. Despite the danger, he felt reassured with Yona by his side. The spirit expressed outrage at the turn of events, refusing to accept defeat. In Theo's thoughts, he recognized this as his moment to act. The spirit unleashed a powerful skill, rendering Theo unable to move his body. Concerned, Theo questioned if his weakened state was due to the spirit's skill. Yona, alerting Theo to the spirit's movements, warned him to be cautious. She swiftly deployed her spirit barrier to protect them from the spirit's impending actions. Yona exclaimed in disbelief as the energy shield was destroyed. Theo felt the encroachment of death as the spirit's skull skill targeted him. Yona, seeing the imminent danger, warned Theo to be cautious. Remembering how Theo had guided her with her favorite spells, stayed by her side during challenging times, and saved her life, Yona realized she couldn't give up on him. Motivated by Theo's unwavering support, Yona felt a surge of power within her, recognizing a newfound strength within herself. Yona's mind was focused on devising a plan to aid Theo and subdue the elementary spirit. The spirit, realizing the fading light and the blocked skull attack, expressed astonishment, labeling Yona as a celestial being and a hybrid of an unlucky sacred beast. Threatening to absorb all of Yona's Niden and drain her blood, the spirit aimed to gain victory by engulfing both Yona and Theo with its skull. Despite the dwindling power caused by the bracelet, the spirit believed it still had a chance to triumph if its skull could consume both adversaries. It urged the skull to swiftly engulf them both. Theo, slowly regaining his power, felt the terrifying energy of the skeleton and its ability to suppress spiritual energy and strength. Meanwhile, Yona wondered if Theo was still unable to move. She knew she could delay the spirit for a short while, but realized they needed another approach. Just then, Theo expressed his gratitude and swiftly leaped towards the spirit. In Theo's mind, he credited Yona for blocking the spirit, enabling him to recover his spiritual energy. He saw this as the perfect opportunity to seal the weakened elementary spirit once and for all. The spirit was surprised to see Theo moving despite its assumption that he couldn't. It attempted to evade Theo by flying away, but Theo managed to keep up with the spirit. Theo noted that the spirit had slowed down, allowing him to catch up. Frustrated, the spirit declared that it couldn't be defeated and threatened to possess Theo's body before he could open the stone chest. Unperturbed, Theo realized he was just as swift as the spirit. With determination, Theo opened the stone chest, causing the spirit to panic. Theo expressed gratitude to Yona for her help in sealing the spirit in the end. He assured her that he secured the spirit with an advanced grade talisman, ensuring its containment. Concerned for Yona's well-being, Theo inquired about her condition. Yona admitted feeling tired, but relieved that she wasn't injured like before, planning to recover with some rest. Theo, reflecting on the events, shared his feelings, mentioning how the series of unfortunate events felt like a nightmare. He couldn't shake off the surreal feeling of everything that had occurred. Yona playfully pinched Theo's cheek, causing him to feel the pain, confirming to himself that it wasn't a dream. Theo, feeling the discomfort and tearing up, agreed that the sensation was too real to be a dream. Yona, with a smile, expressed relief, noting that she would be disappointed if it were all just a dream. She suggested they take time to recuperate and offered to share her precious petal elixir with Theo, emphasizing their need to rest and recover after the challenging ordeal. Yona remarked that it took them half a day to recuperate, but she anticipated that dividing the treasure would take even longer. Theo agreed, mentioning the considerable time it took to split the spirit stones, sacred herbs, and amulets in the pouch of abundance equally between them. Yona acknowledged the effort required for the task, noting that there wasn't much left to divide. Theo contemplated the valuable items they acquired, including the abominable stone, divine fire cudgel, 2 talismans, the sacred needle of wisdom, and the defense pouches of the windmill carriage, along with 4 red heavenly winged horses. He decided to investigate the functions of the 2 talismans and kept them for further study. One talisman, named the Brilliant Jade Ring, was noted for enhancing spiritual energy recovery speed. Theo planned to transform the other talisman into the Silk Jade Belt of the South for protective purposes. He desired the brilliant jade ring due to its similarity to the blue jade ring he had seen at a trade fair in the past. Yona observed the extraordinary nature of the items they possessed, realizing the potential for conflicts when dividing such valuable treasures. She felt the responsibility to handle the distribution carefully to avoid any strain on their relationship. Considering that Theo already had a white-colored shield, she deduced that the silk jade belt of the south might not be as beneficial to him as it would be to her. Yona trusted that Theo would be considerate of her needs and preferences during the treasure distribution process. Yona expressed her desire to take the silk jade belt of the south and suggested that Theo choose the item he wanted as well. Theo, in response, agreed to follow Yona's choice and asked if she had made her decision. Yona confirmed her choice, and Theo affirmed that the selected item was the most useful to him. Theo felt relieved that the abominable stone remained intact, as it held significant value to him. He planned to incorporate it into the Genesis sword and graceful shield to improve his tools, making it the most valuable and useful item for his endeavors. Yona graciously allowed Theo to choose first after she made her selection. Theo appreciated her consideration towards him. He suggested that Yona take the Divine Fire Cudgel while he opted for the brilliant jade ring. Theo acknowledged that the Divine Fire Cudgel would be more beneficial to Yona, who lacked a talisman for attack, compared to himself who primarily used a sword. He believed that the brilliant jade ring, which enhanced spiritual energy recovery, would be more useful to him due to his combat style. Yona agreed with Theo's proposal, finding the arrangement suitable for both of them. Theo reflected on their distribution of the sacred needle of wisdom and the red heavenly winged horses as compromises. He agreed with Yona's observation that Vicky's items were renowned, making them challenging to utilize as they were. Despite the difficulty, he acknowledged their exceptional value as treasures. Theo recognized that Yona might have felt uneasy if he didn't take his share of the amulets. Theo questioned Yona's actions as she handed him something. Yona offered him superior-grade amulets, surprising Theo with her gesture. Confused, Theo wondered why she was giving them to him. Yona explained that she believed there would be a time in the future when he would require them and hoped they would be beneficial to him when that moment arrived. Theo considered the tasks he had completed, having purchased all the seal materials from the market and burnt them as necessary. He successfully converted all the sacred herbs into Dan pills, leaving only the abominable stone to address. Recognizing the complexity of dealing with the stone, he anticipated that it would require a significant amount of time and effort. Theo acknowledged that handling that task that needed immediate attention. Theo reflected on his encounter with Charles, realizing that he could subdue the elementary spirit and survive due to Charles's intervention. He acknowledged the pivotal role of the crystal protection bracelet in protecting him from the spirit's possession. Theo decided to cremate Charles's body and deliver the remains to his family. As he inspected the unharmed items, he found an envelope, speculating that it might contain Charles's will. Feeling a sense of duty, he planned to meet with someone from the Yi family in Yan'an to deliver the token and pouch of abundance entrusted to him. Theo intended to enhance the Genesis sword and graceful shield after fulfilling these responsibilities. Theo was greeted by a servant boy who expressed relief at his return. Curious, Theo inquired about any intriguing rumors circulating concerning the rift during his absence. The boy mentioned that guests were particularly interested in Vicky and Elder Philip. There was talk about how it had been a considerable amount of time since two Breath of the Sun alchemists had not emerged. Recently, alchemists from the Mountain Willow Manor had arrived, inquiring about Madame Vicky's whereabouts, sparking further interest and speculation among the guests. Theo grew concerned that the truth about Vicky might remain undisclosed unless he or Yona revealed what had happened. He worried that if the witnesses who saw him entering the lake with the windmill carriage mentioned this to the Mountain Willow Manor, they might be compelled to leave their current location. Shifting his focus, Theo asked the servant boy if he had any knowledge of the Yi family from Yan'an. He suspected they were a family with a rich history and renowned alchemists, likely quite well known. However, the boy apologized, admitting he had never heard of them before. The servant boy offered to inquire with the adults about the Yi family from Yan'an as Theo requested. Surprisingly, the adults also admitted they had no knowledge of this family. Theo found this unexpected, assuming the boy would have insight into the matter given his intelligence. When the boy reported back that even the adults were unaware of the Yi family from Yan'an, Theo concluded that the family might not be as renowned as he had anticipated. Despite the lack of information, Theo expressed his appreciation for the effort. Theo pondered his next steps, unsure of what to do next. Meanwhile, the boy considered how Theo had always been generous, providing him with spirit stones. Feeling unable to assist Theo this time, the boy felt a sense of concern. Suddenly, he had a thought and asked Theo to wait for a moment, leaving Theo to wonder if the boy had come up with a solution to help him. The boy addressed his grandfather, indicating Theo as the customer in question. The grandfather acknowledged Theo's interest in the Yi family from Yannan. Theo apologized for causing any trouble and expressed his gratitude. The grandfather reassured Theo that it was no inconvenience and explained that he too had become curious about the family due to the long absence of hearing their name. Eager to learn more, Theo politely requested the grandfather to share any information he had regarding the Yi family from Yannan. The grandfather shared the history of the Yi family, highlighting their prominent status in the Yannan region. He described how the alchemists of the Yi family distinguished themselves by wearing long coats adorned with the mark of the rivulet phoenix on their shoulders. This symbol of distinction often drew envious glances from other alchemists who admired their prestige. The grandfather reminisced about his admiration for the Yi family members. In response, Theo inquired about the rivulet phoenix, asking if it was the sacred beast known for repelling evil energy. The grandfather confirmed Theo's query, explaining that using a sacred beast as a family symbol was not unusual among esteemed families. Theo contemplated the information he had gathered about the Yi family while reflecting on the crystal protection bracelet. Expressing his curiosity, he questioned why such a renowned family like the Yi family from Yannan had seemingly faded into obscurity. The grandfather provided historical context, explaining that the downfall of the Yi family began 300 years ago when many of their alchemists failed to emerge from the rift. This loss of key members made them vulnerable to attacks from rival families in the Yannan region. Subsequently, the Yi family faced multiple conflicts and eventually departed from the Yannan region, seemingly fleeing from the turmoil. The grandfather acknowledged that he lacked precise details about the events that transpired but recalled that significant battles had led to the family's exodus. Theo inquired about the Yi family's whereabouts after leaving the Yannan region. The grandfather speculated that they might have relocated to the Linsong region but admitted his lack of knowledge beyond that point. Living solely in the Yannan region, he had limited information about events in other areas due to the absence of news regarding the Yi family's return. Theo expressed his gratitude for the information provided. Contemplating his next steps, he decided that his journey would lead him to the Linsong region to continue his search for the Yi family. Theo inquired if the grandfather had any additional information about the Yi family. The grandfather shared that in the past, all alchemists had admired the Yi family from Yannan for their pure character, which had sparked jealousy among other families. He emphasized that while many families claimed to be righteous, only a few truly possessed a pure character like the Yi family. The grandfather acknowledged Theo's curiosity about the Yi family's past but cautioned him not to underestimate them, even if they appeared insignificant at present. Theo acknowledged the advice, understanding the importance of respecting the reputation and integrity of the Yi family. At the Linsong region in the small town of Prosperous Gate, a martial arts competition was taking place. A man expressed his heartfelt thanks to the participants who attended the event, acknowledging them as heroes. He explained that the day marked a competition of suitors held by their family. The man, identified as Henry from the Yi family, outlined the rules, stating that any participant who showcased their skills and proved themselves would have the opportunity to marry their daughter, Mira. As people gossiped about Mira, the renowned beauty they had only heard of, participating in the martial arts competition, anticipation and curiosity filled the air. Speculations arose about who would win her hand in marriage, with families sharing details among themselves. Meanwhile, Theo observed the elders' progress at the beginning stage of heavenly birth and acknowledged the allure of Mira, the famous beauty, understanding the excitement surrounding the event. Henry, addressing the crowd, mentioned that the martial arts match featuring Mira would have a unique twist. He explained that Mira was not particularly strong in terms of skills, implying that most of the alchemists present could easily defeat her. Due to this circumstance, the traditional method of choosing a groom through a match with Mira was deemed unsuitable. Instead, the competitors would now engage in battles amongst themselves, with the ultimate victor earning the right to marry Mira. Theo reflected on the well-organized martial arts competition in Youngmun, noting that the town seemed to thrive on such events. Considering the high standard of the competition, he deduced that martial arts matches for the purpose of finding a groom must be a common occurrence in the area. Despite witnessing many intense and life-threatening fights in the past, Theo had never experienced a competition structured in this manner before. A man declared his intention to participate in the martial arts competition. In his thoughts, he emphasized the importance of assessing the competitors beforehand to ensure their young master's success. He recognized the significance of understanding the skills and abilities of the known individuals in the small town to strategize effectively. As the man prepared for the competition, the crowd murmured in anticipation, questioning the validity of the rumor surrounding a new challenger who had emerged. Theo noted the middle stage of heavenly birth of a confident challenger, indicating a strong level of skill. As challengers were defeated one by one, it became apparent that individuals at this level should be regarded as formidable. Henry, overseeing the competition, called for the next challenger, inquiring if there were any more contenders willing to step forward and test their skills. Theo was taken aback by the numerous instances where challengers of lower skill levels managed to overcome the gap and emerge victorious. He found the unexpected turn of events surprisingly enjoyable. However, despite hearing about the Yi family's declining power, he was surprised that they still organized a martial arts competition like this. Typically, suitor competitions occurred when a woman with a high level of martial arts skills selected a groom she acknowledged. In Myra's case, with her low level of skills, it seemed more like she was being matched with a high-level alchemist, akin to being sold off rather than a traditional suitor competition. A new challenger emerged confidently, expressing belief in his good fortune and the potential for victory. He thanked those present for their guidance and support. In Henry's thoughts, he identified the challenger as Hugo, the third noble son of the One family. Recognizing Hugo's status at the later stage of heavenly birth and his family's esteemed reputation, Henry acknowledged the pleasant surprise of encountering such a skilled contender. Mira reflected on her reluctance to marry someone who wasn't her lover but considered Hugo's favorable attributes, such as his family background and reputation. She contemplated that it might be in her best interest if Hugo emerged victorious in the competition. Meanwhile, Hugo noted the absence of further challengers, signaling that there were no more competitors to face. In Henry's thoughts, he realized the need to swiftly proceed with the competition. Henry commended the Yi family for their profound insight in recognizing the exceptional skills displayed by the competitors. Just as it seemed Hugo would be declared the final winner due to the lack of challengers, an old man suddenly appeared and announced his participation in the match. This unexpected turn of events surprised and instilled fear in the audience. The spectators identified the newcomer as Chad, known for his expertise in the law of spirit energy. Rumors circulated among the audience, mentioning Chad's reputed status of having numerous concubines despite being unmarried. Henry's anger flared as he considered the audacity of a 300-year-old individual like Chad participating in a groom-finding competition for a young woman. He found it disgraceful and believed that a rational man wouldn't engage in such an act. Henry expressed his disdain, mentioning that Chad had a history of discarding his concubines once he grew weary of them, adding to the perceived disrespect of his actions. Hugo confronted Chad, questioning his seriousness about participating in the competition despite his reputation for remaining unmarried. Hugo asserted that if Chad were to defeat him, he would be obligated to take Lady Mira as his wife. In response, Chad dismissed Hugo's concerns, stating that it was not Hugo's place to dictate whether Mira would be his wife or concubine. Chad boldly expressed that the Yi family should be honored even if he chose to take their virgin as his concubine. He warned Hugo not to interfere in his decisions, implying that it was not Hugo's business to meddle in his affairs. Hugo, dismayed by Chad's casual mention of making Mira a concubine, found it absurd and disrespectful. He assured Chad that he would never consider treating Mira in such a manner, expressing his surprise at Chad's presence in the competition. Chad, uninterested in further discussion, urged Hugo to make a decision whether to fight or concede. Despite feeling disapproval towards Chad's attitude, Hugo contemplated his next move in the face of this challenging situation. Hugo couldn't shake off his thoughts of Mira ever since their chance encounter on the streets. Determined not to let Chad, with his audacious demeanor, take Mira as his concubine, Hugo acknowledged the challenge ahead. Despite his low probability of winning, Hugo realized that in a sparring match like this, Chad wouldn't be able to cause him harm. Ready to give it his all, Hugo decided to proceed, even if it meant using up all his amulets in the process. In a bold move, Hugo humbly requested guidance before engaging in the match. Chad, indifferent to Hugo's plea, encouraged him to act as he saw fit, expressing his desire for an extended bout to alleviate his boredom from the lackluster matches. Hugo, determined to give his all, utilized his amulet to launch an attack, while Chad countered by defending with his sand skill. After realizing his last amulet failed to make an impact on Chad, Hugo felt defeated. Chad, unimpressed by the outcome, expressed his boredom before launching an attack that left Hugo defeated on the ground. With Hugo's defeat confirmed, Chad declared himself the winner and inquired if there were any further challengers. Asserting his dominance, Chad made it clear that no one else needed to step forward, thus sparing them from facing his wrath. As Chad touched Myra's chin, he said to her beauty and offered her a comfortable life as his concubine. The spectators expressed surprise and curiosity, questioning whether a new challenger had appeared. Despite Chad's reputation in the law of spirit energy, some attendees were unfamiliar with him, wondering about his identity. In the midst of the commotion, Theo stepped forward to join the competition, expressing his interest in taking up the challenge. As Chad observed Theo, he initially underestimated him due to his youth. However, to his surprise, Chad recognized that Theo possessed a similar skill level to his own. Despite his reluctance to show courtesy to a young challenger, Chad refrained from acting recklessly in that moment. Chad questioned Theo's presence, to which Theo responded nonchalantly, stating that his motive for joining was mere curiosity piqued while passing by the competition. Theo inquired if there was a rule prohibiting individuals from outside Youngmun from participating in the competition. Henry clarified that there was no such rule, allowing Theo to join the contest. While unsure of Theo's character, Henry harbored a hope that Theo would prevail, considering him a better option than the controversial Chad. Encouraged by Henry's words, Theo asked for good luck wishes, to which Chad curtly responded affirmatively. Chad was surprised to encounter another law of spirit energy alchemist in this unexpected competition. The audience marveled at the prospect of a match between two alchemists with such rare abilities, considering it a captivating spectacle. Some spectators expressed uncertainty about the outcome but hoped the young alchemist would humble Chad. The audience eagerly awaited to see who would emerge victorious in this intriguing showdown. Theo hesitated to use the destruction sword arts in front of the audience and decided on a different approach for the current situation. Chad, noticing Theo's lack of talisman, confidently declared that he would swiftly end the fight. Launching an attack from above, Chad's assault surprised Theo, who was taken aback by the unexpected maneuver. The audience observed the relentless barrage of attacks, likening it to a meteor pendulum, impressed by Chad's law of spirit energy skills. Theo couldn't help but notice the lack of intensity in Chad's attacks compared to what he had anticipated. While acknowledging the disparity between Breath of the Sun and Law of Spirit Energy, Theo found Chad's performance underwhelming, especially when compared to Vicky's powerful blue flames. Theo concluded that a regular early-stage Law of Spirit Energy alchemist like Chad posed no real threat to him based on their current confrontation. Chad, frustrated by Theo's defensive stance, taunted him for merely blocking his attacks. Unbeknownst to Chad, Theo had initially considered using his alter ego to confuse him but ultimately decided against it. Theo surprised Chad by launching a direct attack without the need for a talisman. This attack, appearing as a simple orb of light, caught Chad off guard, leading him to question if Theo was truly at an early stage of Law of Spirit Energy. Unable to withstand the force of Theo's attack, Chad's energy barrier faltered under the unexpected assault. Theo, utilizing the power of the wood-fire principle, felt confident in the strength of his current abilities. Meanwhile, Chad grew increasingly frustrated as Theo continued to produce light orbs, draining his spiritual energy without Chad being able to mount a proper counterattack. Chad was astounded by Theo's seemingly endless energy reserves, despite his youthful appearance. Overwhelmed by the relentless assault, Chad's anger and desperation grew as he struggled to find a way to overcome Theo's onslaught. Despite his frustration, Chad was determined not to face defeat in front of the watching crowd. In a surprising turn of events, Chad suddenly surrendered, expressing a desire to halt the fight. He explained that he didn't want to display his full skills in front of the spectators, as it could result in serious injury for both him and Theo. Theo accepted Chad's surrender graciously, thanking him for conceding. Despite his outward agreement, Chad inwardly seethed at Theo's calm demeanor, vowing to settle the score when there were no onlookers present. Chad hastily left the match, surprising Henry and the audience with his unexpected departure. Henry expressed his astonishment at witnessing such a shocking turn of events, never anticipating such a match in his lifetime. The audience commented on Chad's ungraceful exit, labeling him as ill-natured, while questioning the identity of the law of spirit energy alchemist who bested him. Despite the confusion surrounding Theo's background, no additional challengers emerged, leading Henry to declare the end of the suitor competition. The audience expressed admiration for the incredible match they had just witnessed, acknowledging Theo as a masterful competitor. They deemed it a fitting and impressive showdown, offering congratulations for the outcome. Despite the acknowledgement of Theo's prowess, some spectators admitted they would prefer not to challenge him in combat. Regrettably, one individual resigned to the fact that they had no choice but to let go of Mira due to the formidable display by Theo. Meanwhile, Theo reflected on the situation, feeling that things had taken a troublesome turn. In the outskirts of Youngmun, at the Yi family's manor, Henry offered to accompany Theo inside, despite the humble appearance of the place. Theo, recognizing the need to address the situation privately, agreed to enter but felt the urgency to clarify matters before any misunderstandings arose. Inside, Theo broached the topic of the suitor competition with Henry, indicating a need for discussion regarding the events that transpired. Henry, understanding Theo's position as his daughter's prospective groom, encouraged him to ask any questions he might have. Theo clarified to Henry that his sole reason for participating in the suitor competition was to prevent Chad from progressing, rather than out of genuine interest in marriage. He expressed remorse for disrupting the competition that undoubtedly required significant effort to organize. Perplexed by Theo's statement, Henry was left wondering about the true meaning behind Theo's unexpected revelation. Inside Henry's heart, Henry, overwhelmed by a mix of emotions, grabbed Theo's hair in frustration. He was incredulous at Theo's revelation that he had no intention of marrying Mira and only joined the competition to thwart Chad. Henry felt a sense of disappointment at the thought of not being able to find a suitable match for Mira after putting in so much effort into the suitor competition. Although Henry was on the verge of losing his temper, he restrained himself from being impolite to a law of spirit energy alchemist like Theo. Theo presented an item he obtained from inside the rift to Henry. Startled by the item, Henry recognized it as something traditionally given to direct blood relatives, leading him to speculate about the connection. Henry's thoughts raced as he considered the implications, questioning if Charles was indeed his uncle. Overwhelmed by the revelation, Henry urged Theo to explain how he acquired the jade plaque from inside the rift, expressing a willingness to listen to Theo's story in detail, regardless of the time it might take. Henry reflected on the situation, realizing that his uncle and other family members had been working to contain the elementary spirit. He felt a mix of heartbreak and relief upon understanding the circumstances. In his thoughts, Henry acknowledged his uncle as an exceptional leader and highly intelligent individual. However, upon reading the letter, he recognized the pain and distress reflected in its contents, understanding the emotional turmoil it must have caused his uncle. Theo mentioned the bracelet he received from Elder and expressed his intention to return it to Henry's family as a gesture of respect. However, he regretfully informed Henry that he had used up all the crystal beads on the bracelet. Henry recognized the bracelet as the crystal protection bracelet that his grandfather once wore and hesitated to accept it back, considering that it was originally given to Theo by his uncle. Internally, Theo felt embarrassed about trying to return something he had depleted. Nonetheless, Henry decided to graciously accept the bracelet, acknowledging the significance of its role in saving Theo's life. Theo expressed his gratitude and willingness to assist Henry's family in any way possible, offering his full support whenever needed. Henry expressed gratitude to Theo, acknowledging him as their family's savior and rejecting the idea of Theo owing them anything. Instead, he insisted that Theo stay at their manor as a guest for a few days, emphasizing their desire to repay the debt owed to him. While Theo accepted the invitation to stay, he couldn't shake off the feeling of pity upon hearing their family's story. He reflected on how his involvement in their suitor competition had caused more harm than anticipated. Despite the fragile nature of their relationship not warranting a family feud, Theo couldn't ignore the significance of the incidents involving the crystal protection bracelet and the suitor competition. Theo recalled the conversation about an eviction order, prompting Henry to explain the challenging circumstances faced by their family. After the rift incident, the family had to move around the Yan'an region before barely settling in Youngmun. Despite relocating their base multiple times, they lost valuable resources like the Spirit Stone Mine, Sacred Herb Field, and Sacred Forest to theft. Despite these setbacks, they managed to live peacefully in Youngmun for several hundred years until the Huang family claimed ownership of the land. The Huang family not only asserted their ownership but also demanded the return of a chest containing treasures, including the talisman from that land. Theo deduced that since the chest was missing, the Huang family was unjustly holding Henry's family accountable for a crime they did not commit. Theo contemplated the situation, noting that the government and other families were ignoring the issues faced by Henry's family. He realized that marrying Henry's daughter to a high-level alchemist could potentially benefit their family, especially if she married into a reputable sect or alchemist family. The strategic move could help mediate the conflict with the Huang family. Theo was aware of the presence of one middle-level law of spirit energy alchemist and two at the early stage, indicating the potential for assistance in resolving the dispute. He also acknowledged the value of having Yona, likely a skilled individual, around during such challenging times. Theo mentioned having a plan regarding the Huang family, prompting Henry's surprise at the extent of Theo's consideration. Despite not knowing the details of the plan, Henry expressed willingness to listen to any proposal Theo put forward. With Henry's openness to hear his idea, Theo began to lay out his suggested course of action.
Go, go.